guys, my name is Monica Lee and we're here at Blizzard. I am part of the consumer products team. I decided to kind of show you guys how to make a tracer jacket. This kind of like bomber jacket that she has with this distressed leather. So I figured this would be a really cool, fun thing to do because Tracer's just really awesome and she's really fun and peppy, and this would be a really cool item to wear to a con. So the first step in starting the tracer jacket is to get all your materials together. This is my little orthographic image right here. I printed offline. Sewing machine, fabric scissors, and paper scissors. Don't use the same scissors to cut your things. I have a zipper. Make sure that it's a separating zipper since you'll be opening the jacket and not a zipper that stays kind of closed at the bottom. And we also have official tracer patches. These are the ones that you'll be using on the left side of her arm. I always like to go off of a pattern when I make my cosplay just because this is something that, you know, a company made that already fits and already looks a certain way, so I can kind of guarantee that I'm gonna get a certain look using this. So I found this kind of basic jacket pattern. And the reason why I chose this one was because it had kind of the seams that Tracer has going down on her jacket. Here are just some of the pattern pieces that I cut out. There's the sleeves, and this is just something you kind of work on yourself to see how you want it to fit, if you want a longer like cut on the side, if you want a seam to go a certain way. So after I make my pattern, I make a mock-up, and that's what I was saying earlier, which is you kind of want to take fabric you have and build the actual pattern from scratch itself. I had some god-awful tiger print fabric that I used for my mock-up, and so essentially I just cut all those pieces out and I sewed it together. This is the seam for the front for Tracer, and she has this curve that kind of goes down, and so on the other side I brought the curve more this way so that it's kind of more in line with how the pattern looks. And the cool thing about making a mock-up is that afterwards you can kind of cut the pieces apart and use them as your base pattern, and so that's what I did here. This is the center front piece that lays here and that curve that goes around at the bottom. For mock-ups, a lot of people use muslin or cheap fabrics to kind of essentially mock up how you want your final jacket to look or your final piece. And especially since I'm working with leather, which is, you know, very defined in terms of how big it is and it's expensive. This is a good alternative to making sure that everything looks right before you start it. So after you make your pattern and kind of make your mock-up, from there you're going to take that material and put it onto your final cutting material. So essentially you would be laying out the material, pinning your patterns down and cutting them out. And make sure to leave some space for seam allowance, because if you sew to the very edge, like it could easily rip. So I usually do about 5/8 inch. Another thing to make sure too is whenever you're making seams, to start with a knot. My machine's pretty awesome and knots itself, but you can always do a back stitch where essentially you start forward and you stitch backwards, because you don't want to kind of sew a seam down and then it just peels open. I like sewing a lot, just like there's a lot of pride in kind of making something and putting it together and saying that you made it with your own hands. And that's one of the things that I like the most about cosplay. The one thing I wanted to do with this is use leather. So I have cowhide that I actually got online. This one in particular was actually part of their scrap pile because it had some defects on it. And that's actually what I wanted, because I wanted this to seem like a real like leather bomber jacket. That's why I wanted to line it, because the inside's just kind of weird and scratchy, and that finish is gonna make it look really nice. All right.
Monica is working on a Tracer jacket, so I thought I'd help her out. I'll make her some Tracer goggles. So here I've got a black and white craft foam. It's very thin, that's good for detail work. And then I have a thicker foam, which is more for construction. We have white and black. This one's been through the wars a little, but you know, you can use that stuff for testing and things like that. We're going to use the black one for the back of the Tracer goggles. That's just going to make it a lot more comfortable to wear. But you can actually see it's layered. So we have the black foam layer for comfort at the back. We've got the white layer, which is just the detail layer on top. And then sandwiched between those two is a transparent orange film. So I could probably just cut out two of these, one from black foam, one from white foam, and then glue those together and probably get a pretty good approximation of this. So I'm going to go and do that. So that is eventually going to turn into that, which is your back panel for the mask. So we're going to add a plastic layer. These are really inexpensive. They're used all over the place, pretty cheap. It's a good, decent flexibility and strength. That's what we're going to use to make everything a little more rigid, a little more durable, and we're actually going to attach the elastic bands that will go around your head to this part, because this is the strong part, and that's how it's going to last all day. So what I did is I cut that out of this. Now you'll see what I actually did is I cut a stripe here for the elastic band. Now there's lots of different elastic options out there. So now we've got the black and the plastic to secure it. We're going to cut out one more layer, which is on the thinner craft foam, and you end up with this. So now we have the 3 layers that we're looking for. And interestingly enough, I went to my office supply store And they had these really interesting clear folders. Just cut that out with the scissors, just like the other plastic. And then in the end, what we end up with is something like this. I've basically glued these together. I've bent them into shape here. And as you can see, I've already added a little bit of detail here, and I'll show you how I did that. I took the little bit of foam that I had with the lines on it, and then I took some tape. You basically want to take a look, again, the reference is important. You can see it's about an inch up from the bottom tip of the mask. So what I'm going to do here on this little piece of white foam, take my pencil, and I'm just going to roughly draw in the foam where I want that to be. Where I'm going to go from here is I'm going to take my masking tape, and then I'm just going to lay that there. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to fill this part in here. I'm going to take one of my markers. I'm going to draw. I can see the line pretty well here under the tape. And now, because we want it to wrap over onto the inside, you want a bit of foam's width, just so that we can wrap it around. So I'm going to draw a little dotted line here, which is where I want to cut. Now what I'm going to do is, because this is masking tape, it should peel up pretty quickly without damaging any of the foam. So now we have this pattern. What we can do is we can just cut that out. And then what we do is we'll take our thin craft foam. We're just going to place it. Same thing as earlier. You're just going to draw around the outside. You're going to cut it out. And it's going to end up something like this. So it's probably going to be sitting up high off here. Put a little bit of glue on the inside. You can press that down. Take your time. And then what I did is I just folded this over the back here like that. And if there's any rough parts, you can just rub it with sandpaper gently. Get the really tough parts off, and then that's just going to smooth all the edges out. So the last part is how you're going to fit it to your head, how you're going to wear it all day. What you need is some elastic or some straps. That might not be the right way around, but hey, we're experimenting, so let's go have a look. All right, these are looking pretty good. Let's go check in with Monica, and let's see if we can dress her up as Tracer.
Hey guys, I'm back here with Steve, and we just finished the Tracer look. So the jacket is complete. We have the sleeves on with the patches, the little collar piece up here, the zipper is all in, and everything fits. So to complete the look, we actually have these leggings from the gear store, and so these are official Tracer leggings that you guys can get.
We're gonna have to try them sometime.
Get you a pair right now. I actually grabbed this short wig and kind of teased up the bangs here, and I didn't really go full Tracer spikes just because, you know, that look is a little big, and so for something more casual, you kind of just put some volume up here and then just be a cute little casual Tracer.
So the last little piece, of course, was the goggles that we made. There we go.
Woohoo!
Yeah, you'll be jumping through time in no time.
So fast. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you at BlizzCon.
Thanks, see you at BlizzCon. Bye.